Okay, so launch the Agena. Once the Agena's in place, launch the Gemini. And look, it's sort of looking a little more like a Titan. Look at that LR87 engine there. Not sure what's going on with the upper stage, but actually it's an Agena, so that makes a little more sense than... Okay, anyway. Ready, and... Oh, we're a little heavy here. So I'm going to put it straight up right now, because that is not accelerating as fast as I would normally like. Oh, man. Yeah, there were some cool ideas about putting like a SWAT, not a SWAT team, but like a special forces team in a pod that would launch on a missile and it would land kind of behind enemy lines. But the pictures they had, they showed them also flying around on jetpacks. And so, yeah, jetpacks haven't quite made it into the armed forces either. Okay, let's do this. This is, I'm going to say this is pretty heavy for this thing here. I'm just going to try and hold that attitude a little long. Hey, your ship is lighter than we thought. The bad news is because one of the technicians forgot to fill a fuel tank. Which one? Because these all seem pretty full to me. Yeah, I think that's an error. I think the thing is supposed to have a... I think that's a bug in the mission, that it's actually supposed to have an empty fuel tank, because it looks to me like if they hadn't made that thing slightly empty, then it would not have got off the ground. It's true, yeah, like if a viable jetpack that could be used by people, you know, by troops, could exist, then it would absolutely be used and tested by military and everything. Okay, so we got to get up to this 300-kilometer orbit. So that's pretty easy. And I'm pretty much like right on course for it. I don't even need to worry about my super steep ascent here. Yeah. Well, I think I remember during the Cold War was the US couldn't quite field an entire airborne division that would match what the Soviets could deploy. What do you mean? People are making these assumptions. Jetpacks would be awful in combat, though. Listen, I'm sure if there was a tactical advantage, they could make it work, right? I mean, there's got to be some advantage to being able to fly, right? 800. Oh. Oh, wow, I ran out of fuel, exactly. Brilliant. Just, like, let these things separate. We got a nose cone up here and everything, huh? Now, are there any things that I should be deploying right now? I should probably open this, right? See what's in it. Oh. We've got some tanks. We've got a core, which I'm going to set to hibernate in the warps. Which is always... There's almost never a reason why you would not have the thing hibernating. That's a structural tube. And that's a nose cone. Ah, and that is something that we can actually ditch, right? Test whether they are docked. So actually, I should just ditch this thing, right? I'm going to just do this staging now. Beautiful. So we actually have the docking port now visible there. I'm just going to fire my thrusters to ensure some separation. So yeah, this is the LVT-91, which is supposed to be an homage to the LR-91, which is more or less derived from the LR-87, main difference being that it had a single combustion chamber and a vacuum-optimized nozzle. I mean, obviously it had some numbers adjusted to perform pump levels that were appropriate for vacuum, but that wasn't much. Okay. I guess you get it 50-50 and you're going to be fine. 298, 295. That's pretty good. And actually, look, we're pretty close to where this will be, so I'm just going to time accelerate when the thing points in roughly the right direction. Who remembers James Bond, where they launched with a girl on a flying rig on the tip of a Polaris missile? I don't think he had the girl. No, that's a different one. But no, I do know the one where they launched out on a Polaris missile, but I'm trying to remember. Was it Diamond? It was Diamonds Are Forever. No, wait. Diamonds Are Forever. He got to the thing in a submarine, in a ball. No, James Bond movies are awesome. What are you talking about? James Bond movies are all without exception fantastic. Right. Yeah, they're all amazing. What? What are you saying about having a bridge? They're all good. Some of them didn't do too well. Certainly Moonraker is not exactly the most scientifically accurate, but it's still awesome. Because that's the thing. James Bond movies are kind of campy, and the sooner you appreciate that, the better they are. Right? If you are going for realism, James Bond will make you unhappy. If you're going for awesome action movies, then James Bond wins. Yeah, I'm sorry. James Bond, like, he is the man. Like, you see him, like, running around, stuff blowing up, shooting things, everybody's coming out against him, and, oh, yeah, no, we gotta do this still. And he kind of walks out, and his suit is still in perfect condition, and he gets the girl. I don't care what you say, you know, Bond, he is the man. So let's see, have we got this? Excellent! We could confirmed. Why don't you have some ice cream and enjoy the view while Team Gemini prepares for launch? Oh, yes. I'm about to do something no other Kerbal has done before. Rendezvous and dock with another spacecraft. Your goal is to launch to a 250 kilometer and on and on and on. Great! Let's just target this thing to make sure. Set as targets. So it's good they actually launch to a lower orbit, so that makes total sense. Oh, where the acceleration is again kind of low. There we go. I can start to turn this just a little. Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne's kind of cool, but he ain't got nothing on Bond. All I'm saying, you know, Moonraker, it's pretty special. Okay, yeah, better actually check that we... I don't know, I've already started emptying the tanks. Good news is we can actually see this thing from the inside. Bad news, double click doesn't work right now. That's something I asked them to fix, but they haven't had time to... It will get fixed. John McClane? Yeah, Die Hard? You know, Bruce Willis, he was great in that, but, you know, he's no Bond. MacGyver has a mullet. Yes. You see, an important part of this is being able to wear a suit like a pro. Some people miss this important part of it, and they're like... MacGyver is... I'm going to say, I think making a mullet work is what MacGyvering is all about. When they're talking about MacGyvering something... That's literally, how do you make a mullet work? The Professional, okay, so everyone in the US, they call it The Professional. In the rest of the world, it was called Leon, just so you know. And yeah, that is a fantastic movie. I love that director's work. I even quite enjoyed his recent Valerian movie, even although many people thought it was a bit shallow, and I agree. But No, I love Luc Besson's movies. Um, and I do, actually, you know, one of the best bits in The Professional, in Leon, is, yeah, there's this amazing moment where he does a panning, he does a tracking shot with an explosion, and that, like, if you try to figure out how they filmed that, that's pretty smart. So actually, Aquila Hawk 2001, there was supposed to be a Sean Connery cameo in Skyfall, which would suggest that all the Bonds were in fact code names, right, and confirm this kind of fan theory. However, he was unable to get it. Fifth Element is a pretty amazing movie. Any thought on David Lynch as a filmmaker? I have no. I love David Lynch. Yes. Oh, whatever. Like, Valerian is a comic book movie, and that's how you just got to treat it. Yeah, I am looking forward to new Doctor Who, of course, because, you know, Fortune Cookie said to get in touch with my feminine side and all that. Not serious. I very much looking forward to having a new Doctor Who. 236, 238, 242. There we go. That's pretty good. Yes, there is an original Casino Royale, which is completely unlike the modern version of Casino Royale. It's a shame. Big TJH says that Doctor Who is dead to him ever since Tom Baker stepped down. There's so many fantastic episodes that you have missed. I'm disappointed. Have I seen the Sunshine movie? Yes, I'm a huge fan of Danny Boyle. And I'm also a huge fan of Underworld. And they were involved with John Murphy for the music to that movie. So yes, of course I have seen Sunshine. I think it was kind of a missed opportunity. I think aesthetically, it was fantastic. I think the production design was great. I think the music was great, but it kind of devolved into like slasher movie in space. I haven't seen Annihilation. It was Amy wanted to go and see a movie called Oh Lucy, which is this fun like Japanese movie. It's a Japanese American movie. The director basically said that it would be considered a foreign movie in either country. But the reason we went to see it was because the director actually turned up, to talk about the movie and answer questions. And I stumped the poor director by asking about, whether the use of a 5-year-old iPhone was an intentional part of the character's portrayal. And she was like, "What?" But yeah, the iPhone is like 5 years old. Really? Do you work at Apple? It's like, as a matter of fact. It is actually interesting because as I tend to go out, GDC's in town, so I have been going out to the conference kind of at lunchtime, right, to meet people, and then coming back for some more work in the afternoon. And as I was getting back, there was a whole bunch of Apple employees with their GDC badges going to it because they'd come back to the office for lunch, so it's kind of weird. Yeah, Loving Vincent, yes, I haven't seen it. I want to see it, and Clint Mansell is involved in the soundtrack, so like that's what matters. I am a big fan of Clint Mansell's work. I remember. Okay, so wait a second. We're 800 kilometers out, so I gotta get down to about 350 here, right? No, because I don't work in any of those buildings. I think people have already figured that out. That's all I'm gonna say. I want Rupert Grint to be the first Doctor to be a ginger. Well, that is another important barrier to be broken down, which the Doctor has actually stated on many occasions. Have I seen anime Read or Die? No, I have not seen that anime. My anime skills are pretty darn weak. Do you like the Solaris soundtrack? You mean the modern remake with what's his face? George Clooney and Natasha Michelon? Yeah. I mean, I like, because that was Steven Soderbergh as well, and he did. I was really impressed that he chose to do that movie, which basically we knew would have zero ticket sales essentially, because it's a Tarkovsky. It's basically a Tarkovsky remake, right? A remake of an obscure Russian sci-fi movie. Like, how can that not be a huge success, right? Okay, so let's get these 97 kilometers, and that's getting a little further away. So 80, 80, 60, 60, 50, 50, 40, 40, 30. This is me doing my phasing adjustments here. But I mean, I remember seeing Soderbergh's re-edit of 2001, and I actually did feel that it, in many ways, was an improvement on the Kubrick version. And I'm a huge Kubrick fan. Let's be clear. I've got everything that Kubrick ever did as in movies, and I think that Full Metal Jacket is probably the best war movie ever made, because just going through Marine training makes you feel like you've gone through Marine training. Okay, 1.1 kilometers. That's us there. That's us gonna do that burn. Warp to next maneuver. What sci-fi movie would you consider has the most accurate physics? That's a good question. 2001 was boring. Yeah, seriously, this is the thing. 2001 is one of these movies which it's very hard to explain to young kids. Oh, well, Steven Soderbergh went and remade Solaris, so, and it looked amazing, but yeah, it was very kind of different movie. The Martian has problems with its physics, though, in a couple of places. Best... Doctor Strange... No. Doctor Strangelove is the best movie about the end of the world. So I mean, let me be very clear. I am an amateur film nerd, right? I'm not a pro, just in the same way as I'm an amateur rocket scientist. So you should not consider any of my movie statements to be statements of fact or anything. Oh, look, we're right at the ascending node, so I should actually... What is my difference? Oh, 0.1 degrees, so I should actually... hold on. I should go... That's the ascending node. I should fire this way just a touch. So I'm going to wait until it gets to, like... There we go. That's got our ascending node closer. Intersect distance 1.0. Apollo 13 was definitely pretty accurate, but yes, it does not really qualify as science fiction. It's more a docudrama. Boss Baby is not sci-fi. That's again, no, we're not doing there. We're not going there. 7.2 kilometers. Okay, so we've targeted this object. Let's point ourselves retrograde. Did you see Moon? Yes, I did. Also, quite a fan of that director's work. Again, yeah, he's done some great stuff. I was trying to think, what is his name? I forget. He was David Bowie's kid. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, someone is trying to sell me on an anime as being a hybrid of James Bond and the Da Vinci Code, and I'm gonna say right away, I'm not a fan of the Da Vinci Code. I think it's rubbish. Okay. Oh, crap, 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 crap. I overshot. I hit the wrong button there. I'm going to have to travel back to it. Sorry. Good news is that I have plenty of room to work here. Ah, man. What an idiot. So, but yeah, I mean, to do, James Bond and Da Vinci Code, I actually kind of worked on a book which was described as that. I offered some technical assistance on the computer security scenes, which, of course, the editor promptly ignored. Moon was directed by Duncan Jones, who used to have a sillier name, but he changed it. No, Mute isn't getting terrible reviews. It's just not getting the ecstatic reviews that Moon got, I would say. He had another... So basically, Mute, Moon, and there's one other which are part of a kind of trilogy set in weird sci-fi, universes. There we go. Just trying to keep it pointed in the right direction. I should be careful about liquid fuel oxidizer. I don't have much liquid fuel left. I hope I can get home. Have I ever seen Cannibal Holocaust? No, because that was... No. It's a kind of lousy movie from what I've heard. Yes, that's a Da Vinci Code is basically ridiculous leaps in logic. It's like Sherlock, the Sherlock TV show, but without the good bits. Okay. Whether you like Wars or Trek, Back to the Future is a fantastic film trilogy. It's all on HBO streaming right now, incidentally. And yes, while the logic is a bit dubious in places, it is quite enjoyable. National Treasure, I enjoyed that movie. I'm just gonna say that. Uh, like it had a lot of fun stuff in it that I enjoyed. Let's say. Exactly. How dare you insult how dare you insult National Treasure by comparing it to Da Vinci Code? And I say, Nick Cage is in some of my favorite movies. He's gone off of the rails quite a bit on occasion, but he was in Kick-Ass, and he was really good in that. Like, he basically was trying to be Adam West, and I can see no problem at all with that approach to acting. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to flip around and face towards the target. Okay. Okay, now I got to figure out where this thing is. So I need to... Okay, so we gotta aim to get in front of this thing. It'd be very nice if I had some sort of way to... Okay. Oh, man. Can't see crap here. Okay, so I'm totally coming in the wrong way here. So you know what I've made a mistake of doing, of course, is that I had the thing pointing exactly in a inconsistent orientation. So I need to... Nope, I need to rotate it in this direction. That looks a lot better. Of course, normally I would do this in locked mode, but I can't see crap like this. Ah, that's better. That looks like it's lined up. Okay, so target, set as target, control from here. Let's just make it happen now. There we go. Haven't done this docking in too long. Yeah, I mean I've got a ton of movies that I wish I had time to watch. I was watching, was it Elizabeth, the Golden Age today, which I thought was fine. It had a bit of few historical inaccuracies. Okay, so we are docked or undocked. Okay, great. And now it says undock now and land on Kerbal. Do I have to wait for like a thing? Or check for a Kerbal going on EVA? I'm going to check. I'm going to go on EVA because it said that. Gemini, this is Gus Kerman. I hate to be the bearer of bad news during a triumphant, but we're reviewing telemetry and notice that somehow the ship's self-destruct has been initiated. That means you got to undock right now and deorbit and return to Kerbal. Okay, B for board. Continue. On... How do I undock? Undock. And then orbit point retrograde. Sorry, I gotta get myself home. Does it give me points for landing near the space center? Because I should probably go for that, right? I think if I put the altitude down to about 50 kilometers, then that should bleed off the speed and then I'll land over the space center. What do you think? Thor Ragnarok was hecka fun. And did you see the video that somebody posted? They basically took the fight scene from Thor Ragnarok and then set it to Bonnie Tyler holding out for a hero. And it just like synced up perfectly. That was one of the finest moments of internet memingness. There we go. Just ditch that thing. Is that where the heat shield is? I'm just curious what's in this. That's a service module. You see, I think I wasn't supposed to leave that thing detached. And what is this? That's the whole service module. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna decouple this. Hold on. Point it radially outwards, and we'll ditch that service module. There we go. Wow, that exploded into a lot of pieces there. Now retrograde. Okay, well, let's see how close we get to our target. Because, you know, I like to, fly there. Has anyone read J.R.R. Martin's Night Flyers? No, I have not. Hey, Crazy Eyes 125. I'm glad you usually tune into the VODs because, well, I can't always be there. Are those orientation buttons left of the Mavball? Those are stock. Dun Skavuli, those are stock buttons. They may not be available in every mode because sometimes they depend on probe capabilities or pilot skills. Let's turn the lights on. There we go. Now that looks cool, huh? And we'll get some heat going on in the back, the heat shield here thing. Yeah, we're doing just fine here. So there, the Berry-Apps is going. So I guess we are going to get captured here. I guess I made it a little too low because we're going to drop a long way short of the... we're going to end up a long way short of the Space Center. So they don't have a simulation of Neil Armstrong's famous Gemini glitch. That was something I talked to the devs about. It basically would mean you'd have to try and isolate which thruster was stuck on. So that was one idea, but we haven't quite figured out exactly how to make all those things happen. Yeah, the capsule is reasonably heat resistant, I would imagine. There's those mountain range, the mountain range that we usually end up landing near. I hope we don't actually end up in the mountains. It's really hard to tell because it's dark. Night is no friend of mine. No, no. The issue is you didn't have the correct starting orbit. But I did. I did. Okay, well, whatever. So let's deploy these chutes. So these are the little drogue chutes. And at a certain point, we'll deploy the big chutes. Let's see what we got here. If that ever happens, if that starts going, we need to deploy that thing. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's descent meter. That is my altitude there. And that is my radar altitude. I don't know how far it is until we reach the surface, so at some point I shall deploy the big chutes. There we go. Both times my apps was over 100. You know what? It's kind of... Yeah, exactly. The orbit object... Okay, well, I thought I had orbited with surprise... Okay, so I think Soderbergh's recut of 2001 was on Vimeo for a limited amount of time, but it got taken down. So I consider myself fortunate to have seen it. And honestly, unless you're a 2001 nerd, you probably wouldn't have noticed big differences. I don't think that you need to... I don't know. I think it comes down to orbit accuracy and the mystery goo. But I do think that the missions they have bundled, they do need to work on the language. Okay, well, Big TGH, I think I cannot tell you where you can find it because where you can find it is probably not somewhere I can recommend. Yeah, check Usenet. No. But I think if you look at Steven Soderbergh's blog, he actually talks about his recut of 2001. Yes, the descriptive language does need a whole lot of work, and I think there maybe should be a project to translate it, because obviously the game, the core game, has had the language translated into a whole bunch of languages. So now a whole bunch of volunteers need to come and volunteer to translate all these stock missions into things like English. I don't doubt that their Spanish descriptions would be great. I think, they just kind of have tried to work very hard. Maybe So 83 perhaps has some pointers to do the 2001 recut. Which, again, I am not at liberty to discuss. Anyway. And also, while I'm a huge fan of 2001, I I'm not as negative on 2010 as lots of 2001 nerds are. I actually quite enjoyed that movie for what it was. And almost here. Brilliant! Woohoo! Mission success! Timekeeper completed it in less time. I got gold with the required bronze score points. So which points did I miss? I'm really curious for which points I could have got better. Docking time bonus was perhaps... Oh, Gemini took damage. How did it take damage? Define damage. I'm confused.